Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you are in the country. Um, this is an Optimal webinar. We do a ton of these. I'm sharing my screen right now, looking at the Optimal events page. So we are doing a webinar with Draftable Legal. Most of our webinars are about how to use NetDocs, how to use legal technology, and I try never to make them salesy. This webinar is about another product that you will have to purchase. So this is not a feature of NetDocs. I just want to be very clear about this. But I'm very happy to do this webinar because I feel like, and Bob's going to get into this, but this is a product that is going to replace a product which I hate, which is called Workshare/Latera Compare. And I'm going to throw that out there right now. I make no money out of Draftable at all. Never gotten a cent from them, but I'm tired of integrating NetDocs with Latera Compare, and I'd much rather integrate it with a better product that is easier to integrate. So I'll turn it over in a second. Just on the cadence of webinars, we're going to have a couple of other ones that are going to get added onto our events page. We're going to do another webinar with Bundle Docs. We did one, I think, 2 years ago. We're also going to do another webinar with a company called Titan File, which is how to share large files. Those are also product-based. So I want to be clear about that. And then we've got an office hours coming up next week. That's Ask Me Any Questions You Want About NetDocs. WSM, May 1st, Workspace Security Manager. That's a NetDocs product. So just go down the list here. This is on our events page. We got a Mac training that I'm doing. These are all free. Send these to whoever you want. And again, we record all these webinars and we send the video out to everyone. So without further ado, Bob, this is great. I get to shut up. And I'm actually really excited about just listening to this webinar as well. So I'm going to stop the sharing and turn it over to you.
All right, fantastic. And I will share again here. All right, can you see my screen, Craig?
I can. Perfect.
All right, super. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bob Moore from Draftable. I'm going to talk to you about Draftable Legal Compare today. I was looking at the list of people who are on here, and I recognize at least half of you. So hello, everybody, who I know, and hello to those who I don't know. What is Draftable? Draftable is a document comparison tool, fairly straightforward. Draftable is a company based in Melbourne, Australia, and has been doing a general purpose document comparison for over 10 years, but a document comparison that was not targeted to the legal industry. We have, like this slide says, about 750 customers around the world who use our general purpose document comparison. In fact, if you do a Google search for document comparison, ours is normally the first one that comes up. There's a nice little free online trial that you can do. And people started finding that when the market shifted so that one vendor acquired all the competing tools. And they came to us probably at this point about 3 years ago, asking, hey, this looks pretty good. We just lost all of the competition in this market. Is there any chance you guys can, adapt your, general purpose document comparison solution for the legal industry? We saw enough of a demand and said, yes, let's do that. So they split off a team of developers that focuses solely on Draftable Legal Compare. And I joined the company last August, and it's been really taken off and getting great response from firms who are looking for alternatives. It's highly reliable. We have our own proprietary document comparison algorithm. We're not using Word's built-in comparison. It's very easy to deploy, to use, to integrate with your different systems. We have several lawyers, in fact, on staff who advise us on kind of use cases that lawyers need. Our pricing is very fair and transparent, and we have excellent customer support. Essentially, we are I'll jump ahead here. I got a cool slide here. I'll show you what a nerd I am. Hold on, let me show you a little history of document comparison. Oh shoot, I don't have it on this one. Sorry about that. Well, I'll just talk it through. So, as some of you may know, initially there was a company called Workshare that had Delta View. In fact, actually before that, it was called CompareRight, if you want to guess how old I am. And then it became Delta View with Workshare. And then they had a product called Workshare Professional. And they got to a point where they started doing things with their product and pricing that a lot of their clients weren't necessarily thrilled with. And two startups came along to challenge them. The small company in North Carolina called Litera and a small company in Australia called DocsCorp. Um, Over time, they started picking away at Workshare's sort of market leadership role. And they got to a point where Litera actually then got venture capital or funding acquired by somebody else. I forget how that quite happens. Um, and then they became the market leader. They then bought out Workshare and bought out DocsCorp, which had CompareDocs, where I spent 14 years at CompareDocs. And so that happened, what, 3 years ago now? Is it 2003? Yeah, almost 3 years ago. Um, we're sort of back to this situation where there's a market leader and we are now the kind of startup challenger to them. So it's kind of a fun role to play, having done that before. And so far, it's going very well. Um, the features and functionality of Draftable Compare are what you would expect from a document comparison tool if you've used one before. We can compare Word documents, PDF documents, Word to PDF or PDF to PDF, PowerPoint, Excel, and free snippets of free text or like clipboard text. You have a different options for your red line output. We have different ways to review your output, workflows to help you share documents easily by email, save it into your DMS. It's been very well thought out and designed.
Bob,
Um,
can I just ask a quick question?
sure.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the question that I get when I talk to lawyers all the time, and I think you just answered it, but I just want to reiterate it again from or something that you said because a lot of firms are like, we have the word comparison tool, so why do we need to purchase anything else? And I think the first one that you just pointed out here is you're not just comparing Word documents. You
Well,
can compare
the documents
PDFs.
that
Yeah.
can be compared are one of the one of the factors why a third party document comparison tool is better than native Word. So yeah, to be able to do other formats besides Word, to be able to output a comparison not as track changes. Track changes is great for collaborating on documents, but there are times when that's not appropriate. Word's comparison cannot do that. Um, Even if you have Word integrated with, say, Net Documents, the integration between the comparison tool in Word and Net Documents doesn't exist. So it's actually pretty clunky to do it. And then there's accuracy. Word comparison is good enough if you're not doing a lot of comparisons once in a while, but it falls short on things like tables of contents and tables, and it's just not as accurate. So good point. Thanks, Craig.
And by the way, just before I let you continue real quick, ask questions in the webinar chat in the Q&A, and then we'll cycle through those and answer those questions as we go on there.
All right, so you'll watch those, Craig?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Um, let's see here. Integrations. We integrate with NetDocuments. I know there's a few people on this call here who are happy to see the integrated WorldDocs, who have in fact and been very pivotal in getting that WorldDocs integration built up. We integrate with iManage, Word and Outlook, SharePoint, and of course with local file system. And in fact, I don't know how popular Epona is here in the US. It's more of a European thing, but we recently added integration for Epona as well.
Oh, great.
So all the integrations are there in place. Um, why don't I just jump into a demo here? Sometimes it's easier just to show rather than tell.
Yeah.
Any questions before I switch over to that?
Yeah, let's go with up here. Can you compare one document to many documents?
Yes, you sure can. In fact, that's
Okay.
a new feature we recently released.
Okay. And then does it keep all the versions or is the other question?
I'm not quite sure how to answer that. I'm not sure if I understand that question.
But
We can, and whoever asked that, if you want to clarify, essentially you can choose whatever versions you want to compare from your DMS, say net documents, and then you can create versions if you like of the red lines.
yeah, no, nothing's getting deleted, so all the versions will still be there.
Correct. All right, I'm gonna move over here to my desktop and close out of Zoom here. I'll just minimize everything and go to my desktop. See, lots of stuff going on here. All right, so this is the draftable user interface. I opened it up by just double clicking on this icon on my desktop. It could be in your start menu. You can pin it to your taskbar, but it is a desktop application that installs on a PC. There's nothing cloud about it, no databases involved. It's just a simple, straightforward desktop application. You have a section where you would load your original or older document or your modified or newer document. You can drag and drop documents into here from your desktop. You can navigate out to your local file system. You can navigate out to net documents. You can copy and paste little snippets of text in here. You can drag and drop a paragraph from Word or Outlook or wherever into here if you just want to compare little snippets of text. I had a client a month or so ago ask me if there was a limit to how much text you can put in there. I didn't know, so I took two 55-page documents, copied and pasted them both into there, and it worked fine. It didn't compare the formatting, but there's really the only limit would be your, custom your computer's resources. What I find is most users at law firms who have a document management system are encouraged to or tend to work from their document management system. So let's start in that direction first. And I'm going to go from net documents here. All right, I'm going to deselect that. Let's say I have this arrangement letter. I have 3 versions of it. I want to compare versions 1 to 2. Several ways I could do that. I could just right click on the document and get send to application. Those of you familiar with net documents are probably very familiar with this workflow. And then I get 3 options for draftable. Draftable compare, what that does, it just picks the version I've selected, and then I can choose the other versions once I get in there. Compare latest, let me close this. I'll open up the version view. Let's say I selected version 1 and then did compare latest. It would load version 1 and whatever the highest version number is. So in this case, it's 3. If it was 8 documents, it was version 1 to version 8. Another scenario is just show me all the versions. So I'll say compare versions. Oh, I had those 2 in there. So
Yeah, it's always annoying. You got to clear those things out.
pick compare versions. Like a live demo to slow things down a little bit. There we go. And this will show me all the versions for the document I select. I can pick 1 and 2. This will always load the higher version number as the newer document. If for whatever reason I wanted to swap those back and forth, I can do that. If I decided, no, actually I want to compare 1 to 3, I can do that. And so once you have a document in here, if there are versions, you get that same version selector. So for those of you who remember back in the Workshare days where you could load in a document and then manually type in the different versions, You don't need to do that. We just show all the versions for you. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 to 2 here. I have 3 output types. Red line, what I call a static red line, live track changes and side by side. I'm going to start with the static red line. You can create your own rendering sets or profiles if you want to specify what parts of the document to compare, what parts to exclude, different colors, what have you. I'll pick this one here and run compare. I'm not sure how much background noise you can hear. Hopefully it's not a lot. Whereas
Cannot hear anything.
having our house painted, and of course they're right outside my window. Okay, so we output the red line to our own viewer. It is a PDF. It's not a proprietary format. As you can see, we use the standard markup colors, a red strike through for deleted text, blue underline for new or inserted text. We can capture changes in tables of contents. And even if the table of contents is changing as you delete or add sections, we'll catch those. I want to point out moved text. If you move text from one section to another, it'll show it as a green strike through where it was moved from, a green underline where it was moved to. We were talking about how this compares to Word's native comparison. Word would show a table, just the entire table as being changed. We specify what text in specific cells has changed. So great. Got this red line, it looks good. Now what? Move this guy over here. Let's say I want to share this with a client. I can choose email, pick the documents I want to share, this red line, maybe the live track changes version. If it was a large document and I only had a few change pages, I could choose that as an option. Maybe want to send the modified, clean, or newer file, however you want to call that. Click on send. And this will create a new Outlook email with those attachments in there.
Question. If you have multiple people editing a document, does it show you, or is there any ability at all to show if different people, like who was making the changes?
No. Obviously, if you're sharing a document in track changes, it'll show that I made a change, Craig made a change, Jill made a change. But once you run it through the comparison, it has to accept those changes. You can specify which author will show as having done the red line, but
Okay.
but no, we don't have a way of doing that. All right, so while we were talking there, so I said create a new email with those attachments in here. Here is my red line as a PDF. Here is the word track changes version of it. Here is the modified copy. Notice the file names. You can customize that pretty much to your heart's content. I just have document name and version. You can have the NetDocs document ID there. You can have red line before that or after it. So it's very configurable and very easy to configure. For those of you who had to do that in like Workshare or CompareDocs, it could be done, but it took some XML programming. It's much easier in Draftable. Another option is I want to share it by email, but I already have an email open. I don't want to create a new email. Then I can just say copy to clipboard, pick the document you want to copy to clipboard, copy and paste it into your existing email before you send it. I can save it into NetDocuments as a new document or version. I can save it as an attachment. I could also just say, I want to open up the track changes version of this and start building version 4. Notice for this one, I chose to include a summary report as the first page. You can have this be the first or last page of your comparison output, or not at all. Otherwise, this looks exactly the same as that red line copy, but since this is track changes, I have track changes I can use to accept or reject the changes. I could use their review panel and navigate through the changes that way to accept or reject changes. This is a fully editable document, so I can just start typing and make changes here, save this to NetDocs as version 4, 5, what have you, and you use this to build your next version. I'll pause there. I see some questions.
Yeah, I don't really, if Lori wants to ask that again, what does he mean by compare has to accept changes? I'm not exactly sure what that question means. I'll just say right now, um, maybe if people want to clarify or ask more questions, this interface is so clean and nice, right?
We are getting good feedback on the interface. Yes.
And then we have the ability to save to NetDocs and to save to NetDocs as an attachment, which the word comparison does that. Um, but you could save it to NetDocs as a new document, I'm sure as a version of the document or as an attachment, which is everything you want right there for all
Correct.
us NetDocs users on here.
Correct. And you can save multiple attachments against a document if you so desire. I don't know if it was you who asked me that earlier. We talked about a few months ago.
Yes.
That I guess Latera can't save multiple attachments against a document.
Well, NetDocs can't do it with the word comparison
Oh,
tool.
NetDocs can. Okay,
So
got
if you have 10, if you have a Word doc, first off, we're limited to just Word documents with NetDocs and the word comparison tool. If there are 10 versions of a Word document, you do a comparison between 1 and 2, and then you do a comparison between 3 and 4. The 3 and 4 bumps out the 1 and 2. So there's only that one, and that's the great that you can have multiple comparisons there.
it. Got it. Okay, so I showed you loading documents from NetDocuments. Another way you could do it is from the draftable interface itself. So I could simply, I'll just minimize NetDocs for effect here, click on NetDocuments, and then this will launch ND Office, and then you pick your documents the same way. I could first select the document and then specify the versions to compare, or just pick whichever document I want. And then you remember you have this select version picker in here, so you can make your version selection after you put it in there. For this one, I know the client wants track changes, or I know I want to just jump into this and start using this to build version 3. So I'm going to skip the red line and go right to track changes. So I leave this prompt turned on for demos. You can turn it off. Open will open this directly into Word track changes. Save will save a copy to your local file system. The down arrow gives you options to save to NetDocument, then you can be a new document or version, save as an attachment, copy it to the clipboard to paste into an email, or create a new email. I'm just going to open it. And this is a different document. What I like to show about this document is how we handle moves and tables. So if we move text from inside the cell of a table into the body of a document, we keep the formatting as it was in the cell of the table. Likewise, if you move text and then inside where it was moved to, you make deletions or insertions, we can differentiate between the move, deletion, and insertion. Apparently not all products can do that. Again, we do tables of contents well, we do changes in cells and tables correctly. So yep, that's the direct to track changes. Usually pause for questions there. Anything new?
No, I mean, I think that one question we'll have to handle offline.
Okay,
But
great.
Lori's question, you can email me, Lori, and we can get that answer to you.
All right. If you want to rerun a comparison you just ran or recently, we keep track of recently run comparisons, whether they're from your desktop or from NetDocuments. So I can go and pick a document I compared, a set of documents I compared before, so I don't have to go back out searching for them in Net Documents or wherever. I think it's about 25 documents that we keep track of. Let's show you a couple of workflows from Outlook and Word. Let me pull up my Outlook here.
Now, while you're doing this, I'll just ask this one. Um, because we're going to get this, we've got this question in the Q&A. Mac compatibility.
We do
Is this
not have any Mac compatibility right now.
okay?
It is something we know we're going to have to address. We have a hosted cloud version of our general purpose side-by-side document comparison. That's probably what we'll end up doing, is making that sort of like an add-in to Word, but right now it's just PCs,
Okay.
Windows. Okay, someone sends me an email with comparison with documents I want to compare. If I have that email selected in Outlook, there is a draftable ribbon. I can load them in from there. Or if I have the email itself open, you get the same ribbon there. If I pick, let's go ahead and pick compare attachments. Since there are more than 3 documents here, it's going to give me that same version picker, which ones to compare. Let's say I want to compare the Word versus the PDF. Probably not the same document. I could also just specify one document with a little down arrow, or I could just drag and drop as well. So you can drag and drop from pretty much anywhere. Let's go back to, and this is a good example to show you how we do Word to PDF comparisons or PDF to PDF. So minimize these. If you have a PDF that was converted to Word, I'm sorry, converted from Word via Acrobat or print to PDF or what have you via software, it's already fully text searchable, no OCRs needed. If someone took a physical piece of paper and scanned that on a scanner, it might be that that's just a picture of the text and need to be OCR'd. We will automatically detect if there is text on here or not. If not, we will OCR. In this case, we don't need to, but that will automatically happen if needed. I'm going to go ahead and say, do this to track changes. When you're comparing a PDF and outputting to track changes or redline, in the background, we're converting that PDF to the Word docx format first, then doing the comparison, and then outputting the result in whatever format you chose. So that conversion from PDF to Word in the background does take a little bit longer. It's not excessively long, but it might take, 10 seconds instead of 2.
But you can do it. So,
You can
I
do it.
mean, while this is running, we saw that Word add-in, and I'm assuming that's a com add-in. When there is the new Outlook that comes out, I'm assuming you're working on creating something to work in the new Outlook
I
as
think
well.
every vendor in legal that touches Outlook and Word, and it's probably most of them, has to figure that out. So yes.
Okay, so that's in the works. And then the other thing, because this is an Outlook related question as well, and a lot of these tools, like I think Workshare, whatever, like there was also the ability to do some sort of metadata scrubbing in Word documents, right? And
That that we do not have. That is something that it's quite likely we will add once we feel as if gotten to the point with Draftable Compare that we're ready to move on to other products. But for now, we're just doing Compare. There are a couple other vendors out there that are not the one we're competing against who have good products. The 2 I recommend the most are either Big Hand or InMail X,
okay,
another Australian company. So this is the Word to PDF track changes output, nice and clean, does a good job of it. Yes, we can do Word to PDF and PDF to PDF. And I showed you that from the Outlook kind of workflow. Another thing you can do is obviously you can compare, I should say obviously, but you can compare documents from directly from Word. And why don't I use this to show, because someone asked earlier about doing a one-to-many comparison, I'll use this for that. So I want to compare, this is version 1, say, and I want to compare this against versions 2 and 3 that happen to be in net documents. I'm going to say go to Draftable, compare with Draftable to load that into the Draftable UI, or as one of my Australian coworkers calls it, the launcher. And then I'm going to click on the slider here to turn on bulk compare, go into net documents and grab versions 3 and 2 of that one, load those in there. There's effectively no limit to how many documents you can put in there on the multiple side. So when you're doing a one-to-many compare, you have to pick your base version, and then you're picking the versions to compare against that. And you'll essentially be running, in this case, it's 2 comparisons, version 1 to version 2, version 1 to version 3. I can put in here really unlimited numbers of that. The only constraint is your computer's resources. So if you put 1,000 documents here, that might choke your computer down. But there is, there's no limit to what the software can load in there. I will do the red line here and run compare. And essentially is running each comparison, side by side at the same time. It'll show you when they're done. If you want to look at them before another one is done, you can do that. I've heard this is not an uncommon scenario for an associate at a firm who's just been given, they just do document comparisons all day long. And this is a big time saver for them. So once they're done, I just open them up into the viewer. And notice that we will, the file name, if you set up your file names correctly, it'll show you which is which, so you can differentiate between the two. So open them up in the viewer, or you can save them all in bulk to a location. So that's our one-to-many comparison. I will turn that off again. Let me show you one more thing, the text input. So let's say Craig and I are working on a document, we go back and forth on it. I send him, what's the penultimate version, and it's just one paragraph we need to work on. He sends me just the paragraph in an email. Great. Now what do I do? Well, easy. I can just grab that text. I can right click and say compare selected text, or I can drag and drop it. And hard to do with one screen here. Where'd that go? Drag and drop it over to here. Oops, my mousing skills are lacking this morning. Drag and drop it
That's
into
cool.
there. Go to the email that Craig sent me. And where is it? Grab that text. Click on the compare text to load it in. Right click, add to compare, drag and drop, whichever way you want. And then just compare those 2 little snippets of text.
Just real quick, going back to the bulk compare, could we bulk compare, let's say, a PDF to 5 Word documents, or does it need to all be the same
No, you can do
type?
that. In that case, the PDF would be the original, and the 5 Word documents would be the modified.
Got it.
Once this is done, I'm going to show you Excel and PowerPoint comparisons, and I'm going to use our side-by-side comparison to do that, which is the general purpose comparison I was telling you about earlier. And then I won't go too much into the technical of installing and settings unless somebody has specific questions. Please let me know. and then I can share pricing with you and answer more questions.
Well, you don't have to go into the technical because it's easy to do.
Right.
We should just cover that because that's why I started complaining about Latera at the beginning because it's a pain to set it up with NetDocs. Workshare, it's a pain to set it up with NetDocs. Your program is check a couple boxes and it integrates with NetDocs. So again, this is what I'm getting out of it is, and this is why I'm trying to push people to your product. It just makes my life easier when we're trying to integrate the products.
Fantastic. Yeah, so that took longer than I would have expected, but that's just comparing two little snippets of text. Um, Actually, I'm gonna talk about one more thing before I move on to those other topics. I'm gonna go back and talk about what's coming here soon. I will grab those documents I compared earlier, the arrangement letter, output it to Redline, and talk about a few things that are on our near-term roadmap. And these are questions we get from a lot of firms and consultants. First one is three-pane view. For those of you who knew Workshare from back in the day, you could create a comparison report and have your red line output and then the original modified documents all in the same screen and navigate through them at the same time. That is currently in beta right now. I don't have it on this machine, but that is coming soon. So essentially, you would just have a button over here that says three-pane view, and it'll show the modified and original, and you scroll through them all together. Another thing that's coming in here is here, you notice when I created the red line, I had the comparison outputs. What do I do with the red line once I create it? What we've added is a change summary. So you can navigate through each change. You can filter by change, say just show me moves, just show me insertions or deletions, don't show me moves or deletions. So that is coming soon as well. And another thing that's coming soon is we are outputting the non-track changes red line as a PDF. We're going to add the option to output that as a Word document. So it's not track changes, but it's in a Word format. And that's currently being worked on now. So all of those things will be coming out in the next month or two.
And then when updates, how does that work? So like an update comes out to the software, does it auto update or on your thing? Do you have the ability to set that up on the individual users?
There are three different installer options depending on your needs. Two of those do allow for automatic updates.
Okay. I mean, there's a variety of firms on here, so that we've got solos and then we've got people that manage like 100 desktops. So I'm just trying to,
Right.
make
Got
everyone happy here.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's look at comparing a PowerPoint and Excel document. Let me grab a couple slides here. These are very simple, just one slide PowerPoints. Just want to show you our side-by-side comparison. You don't have to, so the side-by-side comparison can work for Word, PDF, PowerPoint, and Excel. It's very handy when you have documents that won't convert to Word well. In California, they have pleadings that have numbers in the left margin, sometimes with sideways text. Trying to clean that up to get a clean comparison out of that sometimes can just take way too long. So this is a great way to get a quick comparison on that. Or you have documents that were created with Adobe Designer or something like that that were never Word documents to begin with, columns, pictures. So it's a great way to do that. Product labels or PowerPoint or Excel. Back to the roadmap discussion, we are going to start building a true kind of inline one-page PowerPoint comparison as well as Excel. That work is starting this summer. I mentioned to you earlier about the change list that's coming in the Redline view. This is essentially what it'll look like, so you can navigate through your changes. You can even make comments to the changes and then output a summary of those changes into an Excel file or to your clipboard. So maybe you want to share this as a side-by-side PDF with your client, and then go ahead and just create a new email here, paste in the summary of the changes. Um, this side by side has existed for a long time. It's largely used by insurance companies, banking and finance. Um, but we're finding a lot of users at law firms saying, like, this is actually pretty good. We could use this as well. It's a nice additional tool to have to your comparison for your comparison options. Um, let's see. That's usually as far as I go on the demonstration. Um, why don't I bring up a pricing slide and then open it up to questions? And if there's anything I missed that people want to see that I did not cover.
All right. Yeah. So that's one of the questions is on licensing and stuff like that. So we're covering that right now.
Okay, so our list price, yeah, well, you can see it right here. So up to 10 users basically is $200. And then we have, volume discounts depending on the number of licenses you buy. Um, I know that for net new licenses, if you compare it to what our competitor is charging, we're less than half of that to start. We also know that there are some firms that have kind of grandfathered in maintenance costs. They're still on a perpetual license. If we need to, we can adjust accordingly. Um, but this is our list price, and I'd say at least 80% of the time, our list price is less than our competitors. Um, Licensing is pretty straightforward. You get one license code, and we set the number of activations for that. If you ever need to add licenses, we can just add activations to that same license code. We generally don't try to have different renewal dates on a license code. Unless it's a massive change, if you need to add licenses throughout the year, we just have you true up for the next renewal. We're fairly straightforward. What I've been told is in the 10 plus years they've been selling the regular draftable, and now with Draftable Legal, we have not been adding cost in subsequent years. So generally, this is a price that's locked in, year over year.
And again, if you have 30 NetDocs users and you have 10 people that need to use this, you only need to buy 10 licenses.
Correct.
It doesn't have to match up with your NetDocs license count.
Correct. We talked about this earlier. So what I'm seeing is we're getting great comments on the ease of deployment from IT administrators, the kind of modern responsive user interface. Our customer service is very good. We're much, much smaller than our competitor, but we're doing a better job than they are. Not every firm wants to continue to be a client of that company. Maybe they didn't buy their products in the first place and they're being forced to move off to what they're used to. And pricing.
Oh, so question on licensing, and I think this is a good one. I'm an attorney, got my desktop and my laptop computer. I want to put Draftable on both of those devices.
So for every license, you get 2 activations. So that would be perfect for that. So a solo attorney buys 1 license, they can install it on 2 machines. A firm buys 100 licenses, they get 200 activations, they can install it on 200 machines.
Perfect. And then the other thing that this is installed on each Windows computer, just a clarification there.
That's correct. For those of you looking to, I'm going to ask questions about virtual machines or terminal services or those type of things. We have different installers that can address those.
And just clarification, I'm sorry I didn't talk about the beginning. We will send out this presentation, this video will be sent out to everyone tomorrow. So whether you attended this or not, you will get to see this.
Any other questions? Let's see. At what percentage of accuracy does that app operate? Never tested that. Good question. I don't know the number to that. It looks like we compared all docx documents, and we can compare PDF as well. I guess that was asked earlier.
Yeah.
Um,
I try to go through all the chat questions, so I think we're up to date on those.
okay,
All
fantastic.
right. Next steps here. So either you're interested in this or you're not. I think it's just good for people just to know that there is something besides word comparison. We will send this out to everyone. Is there ability? Do you want people to do they sign up for a demo, or do they just account? Do they just buy the product? Do they just go to your website and buy the product? Do they contact you?
All of the above. You could go to our website. You could start a trial on your own. You can buy the product from our online store, or you can send me an email or ask Craig and he'll send it to me. And we can set you up with a trial license, sell it to you, do a demo for your firm, all of the above.
I will, when we send out the webinar, I will also show you how to integrate this with NetDocs, but it's a joke. I mean, it's if you can check two boxes, that's why I love this product. Besides it, again, interface is great looking at it. It's super powerful and it's super easy to integrate with NetDocs. So, and again, you can compare stuff besides just Word documents. So this was fantastic. Thank you
You're welcome.
so
Thank you
much.
for inviting me to do this. Thank you all for your participation and great questions.
All
Enjoy the
right.
rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
All
Really
right.
appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Bye.
All right. Bye.